Hello everyone and welcome to a new video. This is Kincaid from server 309, and in this video we're gonna talk about the Hyper team, which is the Wind and Earth team, the Alexander and Zenobia, Qin Emperor and Hannibal Barca. So we're gonna talk about the skills for this team and how to utilize it to be a decent team in order to be able to compete in your server. So let's just get right into it. This is the team that I'm using right now. It is called the Mixed March or the Hybrid team. In this team, we use Alex and Zenobia, basically two Earth Immortals, and we use Kin Emperor and Hannibal Barca, two Wind Immortals with an Earth Dragon. The reason we use an Earth Dragon is that it's so easier to develop compared to the Wind Dragons. I mean, Wind Dragons could be just a bit better than the Earth Dragon. However, it is so hard to develop in early game, and because there is no any kind of bosses that provides the wind crystals, you can buy it from a lot of sources, but it will be very expensive to build it. So it is better to use an Earth Dragon at the early game. All right, so as for the skill, let's start with Alex. Alex, as I would like to call him, or as I would like to use him in this team, will be the main tank in this team. So in case you're running against an Earth team, this Earth team has an Alex as well, then I recommend to use Alex in front of Alex. And the reason for that is using Dual Master. Dual Master makes him immune to wounds, and that means that in case if you're running against an Earth with Junkies or a Lightning March with Junkies or another mixed team, that means he will not be prevented from the heals, because if you're running against another mixed team, that means Hannibal Barca will prevent the heals. However, Dual Master will help Alex to receive heals along the entire fight. So it also increases the physical attack of your Immortal by 50% at max level. The physical attack is the stat of the Immortal itself. That means it is this stat right here. You can see my Alex have 2.5 thousand physical attack. That means this much will be increased by 50% with a level 8 Dual Master. The second skill I'm using is Physical Shield. It reduces the physical damage by 30% at max level. And the last skill is Compo. As I will say, Compo is made specifically for Alex. It gets triggered by each and every. It has a chance to get triggered by each and every normal attack, and the chance is 30%. That means that you need an Immortal with a very high attack speed in order to trigger Compo as much as possible. And if you look at Alex ultimate skill, you will see that it increases the normal attack damage by 50%. It also increases the damage dealt by 50%, and it increases the attack speed by 50%. That means Alex has the highest normal attack speed in the entire game. That means that combo will be triggered as much as possible. So these are the skills that I use for Alex. Later on, we will change all of these skills entirely. In later season, probably combo will be the only skill that we keep. But for now, in season one, these will be the only skills that we use for Alex. As for Hannibal Barca, the most important skill for Hani is Fighting Master. The reason for that, it makes him immune to control. So for Alex, Alex is immune to control once you unlock his artifact. For example, if we can look at Alex's artifact here, you can see that Eternal Conquest now turns into a passive, and no energy will be gained. If you read this line here, and control immunity will constantly be activated during the battle. That means that once Alex uses his exclusive artifact, the immunity to control will be a passive. It will be working the entire fight. That means that Alex is safe from control. So we also make Hannibal safe from control. That means that our front line will be completely safe from control, which means that they will be keep doing the damage did the entire fight. So it gives immunity, and as a bonus, it reduces the damage received by 8% and 10% at level 10. So the next skill is Anger, and Anger is very nice on Hannibal Barca because he doesn't really need the immune to wounds, because he doesn't receive that much heals compared to Alex. And it increases his physical damage by 30%. Well, it is a bit different than Dual Master. Dual Master increases the physical attack, however, Anger increases the physical damage. Physical damage is the total damage that comes out of the Immortal. For example, if Hannibal dealt 1 million damage, a total of damage, then if you used Anger, the damage will be 1.3 million damage if the skill was level 8. So it increases the whole damage not just these stats on the immortal. And the last skill will be cleave. Cleave is the best skill to use on Hannibal Barca on season 1, 2, and 3 because it synergizes with the immortal very well as Qin Emperor. The reason for that, the ultimate skill for Hani itself is a cleave skill. If you read the skill here, it increases your damage by 45% and causes the cleave on each and every normal attack. It will cause 90% damage to an additional nearby target. This skill works for 8 seconds. However, if we use the exclusive artifact, the skill will be a passive similar to Alex's artifact. So this is the first cleave that Hannibal Barca had. This is the second cleave, which is a skill, a passive skill that we use on the Immortal. And the last cleave will be from Qin Emperor. You can see here the Dragon Power also grants a cleave to all Wind Immortals. It works only on the Wind Immortals, so their normal attacks will deal 50% extra damage to a nearby target. That means that Hannibal Barca will have 3 cleaves effects, 3 additional damage on each and every normal attack he does. Of course, there is a chance to trigger, for example, the cleave on him. On this skill, will have a 75% chance to trigger. This one will have a 100% chance. This one will be for as long as the buff lasts from Qin Emperor itself, and it lasts for 8 seconds. And Qin Emperor have a very high energy regain. You can see the energy regain on Qin Emperor is 105. That means the skill will be easier to gain from Qin Emperor. So this is for Hannibal Barca skills. As for Qin Emperor, I would like to use him as an offense immortal, if you know what I mean. I use the offense skills on Qin Emperor and the defensive skills on Zenobia. There is really nothing that changes anything whether they use these skills on Zeno or use these skills on Hannibal, but just how I would like to use it. The first skill is an aura skill. It's called Berserk. Berserk increases your attack speed for all the immortals by 10% at max level, and with each and every successful normal attacks, you receive a 30% recovery rate. It heals a lot, especially since this team focus a lot on the normal attacks and they have a very high attack speed as well. So Berserk is the perfect aura to use for this March. Even in the later season, even in Conquest season, you will keep Berserk on this March. The second skill is Speed Blessing. It increases your attack speed by 30% at max level. This one works for first 12 seconds of the fight only. The Warp Blessing increases your damage by 25% for the first 12 seconds of the battle. So these two skills here synergize so well together, since this one here increases your attack speed and this one here increases your damage. Both skills last only 12 seconds at the beginning of the fight. That means that this fight here gets a lot of boost at the first 12 seconds of the fight, and they deal as much as possible at the beginning of the fight. So they are kinda a glass cannon, not actually a glass cannon, since this march has a high sustain that comes from Zenobia as well, and I'm about to talk about it. So these two skills here work so well for Alex and Hani. As for Zenobia, as I said, I would like to use the defensive skills on Zenobia. I use energy suppression. You can use defense blessing instead, but I prefer energy suppression since it gives him more counter options. It works so well versus marches that counts a lot on the energy, such as fire marches or even lightning marches. It reduces the energy regain speed of all enemy troops by 50% at max level. The next skill will be Oaken Guard. Oaken Guard reduces the physical damage received by 3 random units, and hopefully it is the 2 in the front row, by 50% for 18 seconds. That means that for 18 seconds at the beginning of the fight, 3 of your immortals in this team will receive 50% less physical damage. This is actually one of the best skills to use as a counter for the hybrid team as well. And if you're running against hybrid team, this will be your best option. And the last skill that we have is an aura skill. It is called Shelter. Shelter works as some kind of additional sustain for this team as well. It protects all the unit on the same side. I'm not really sure why they phrased this skill this way. However, each time an immortal on your team receives damage, he will be healed for 32% and 40% at max level. This is how exactly the skill works. For each and every attack you receive on the immortal, you will receive a heal at the same time, and this heal will be 40% recovery rate at max level. This is the perfect skill to use as a free to play player in the first season. However, there's a couple of options that we can use that comes from the wisdom of will. These skills will be available, but it will be so expensive in season one. For example, you can use vitality touch. Vitality touch works so well on the hyper teams, and there's a couple of skills as well. I think vitality touch is the best that we can use in the first season. Yeah, vitality touch, only vitality touch, but vitality touch is kind of expensive, and this March here with the skills that I'm using currently is kind of free to play friendly. The only hard thing to get is Zenobia, since she has a paywall. You only get her through the $5 pack unless you're very lucky with the random shards that you get from the ship. And there's of course Alexander. You can get Alexander. There's a lot of free options, but you will have to keep paying gems on the market in order to max them out. These are all the skills that we can use on the Hybrid March, and the Hybrid March will be the best March, in my opinion, to use in the first three seasons, season 1, season 2, and season 3. Later on Conquest, you can change to something else because there will be a lot of counters for this March starting the Conquest season. Anyway, this will be all for this one. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and have a wonderful day.